Amanda, this is my, I guess, actual video. The last one was sort of just a little vlog to ensure that I had something up on Tuesday, and it was something that was kind of improvised, so there's that. What I'm going to talk about today is very much in line with what you were talking about in your last video. I thought that I would take a minute to talk about what asexuality and aromanticism is, because not a whole lot of people know about it, or they don't know actual facts about it. They only know the stereotypes or things that they assume about the word. I was researching this and I was really surprised at the lack of information that there was about aromanticism, or really romantic orientations in general. There was like nothing about it. Some people would just write that off as it's basically the same thing as sexual orientation. With the amount of discussion about romantic orientations in the forums, I feel like there should be more actual information about it elsewhere as well. Before we really start, there are a few terms that need to be defined that I'm sure that you know, Amanda, but I'm kind of going over because a lot of people don't know the difference. Firstly, attraction is not one univalent thing. There are different kinds of attraction. You have aesthetic attraction, romantic attraction, sensual attraction, and sexual attraction. Those are all very different things. Some people associate one with the other, like some people might associate romantic attraction with sexual attraction if those are two that you usually feel together, but for a lot of people they are different things. They are very distinct. Additionally, before talking about the ace side of things, it's really important to remember that libido and sexual attraction are two completely different things. There's a difference between having kind of a sexual want and energy and being sexually attracted to a specific person. A lot of the time people assume that asexual people don't have libidos at all, which is not necessarily true. They can have low libidos, but they don't have to. They are not one and the same. Asexuality is defined by Avon as someone who does not experience sexual attraction. This is distinctly different from someone who decides to abstain from sexual actions. Celibacy is not asexuality. It is important to understand that asexuality is not the same thing as sexual dysfunction. There are some people that have different kinds of aversions to sex or different things like that that might identify as asexual, but most asexual people do not have some sort of internal issue with sex, they just don't want it. Like any other sexual orientation, asexuality is on a spectrum. So just because someone feels sexual attraction at some point in their life doesn't mean that they're not allowed to identify as asexual. Some people may feel sexual attractions very rarely or under very specific circumstances, or they might have sexual attraction but it's so like small and minuscule that they don't really care about it. Those people might identify as gray-asexual or gray-ace. And there is also demisexual, which is when you only feel sexual attraction towards someone who you have a really deep emotional bond with. Some ace folk, particularly gray-ace or demisexual, might choose to identify with another sexual orientation as well, which isn't very often acknowledged, I think. Now, as far as numbers go, approximately 1% of the population is asexual. However, a lot of experts think that those numbers are off. They think that there are actually more asexual people just because of how they have taken the numbers. Now, some people who are asexual also often identify with a romantic orientation. While they don't feel sexual attraction, they might feel compelled to want a romantic relationship with somebody. So, for example, someone could be heteroromantic or biromantic, homoromantic, panromantic. Basically any number of sexual orientation that you could think of, you can be that, but in a romantic sense. It's not that complicated. Also, like sexuality, romantic orientation runs in a spectrum of degrees as well. So someone could be aromantic, demiromantic, gray, romantic,